You could give her the world and she still won't care. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. In this video, we're talking about a brutal reality most men don't want to face. Women don't care about everything you do for them. You could buy her gifts, solve her problems, be there for her 24/7, but if you're not giving her what she actually wants, none of that matters. She'll leave, lose interest, or start treating you like you're replaceable. And you'll be sitting there wondering, after everything I did, how could she walk away like that? Welcome to the channel, where we speak to men with clarity, truth, and zero sugar coating. Today's topic is uncomfortable but necessary. The 5 things women really want, and why all your effort means nothing without them. This isn't about hating women, it's about understanding them. Because the moment you grasp what truly matters to a woman beneath all the polite words and social media quotes, you stop wasting your time, energy, and money on things that don't move the needle. So why do so many good men get walked all over? Because they believe that being nice, loyal, and generous will automatically win her over. But that's not how attraction works. Women don't fall in love with effort, they fall in love with impact. This video is going to strip away the illusions. No more guessing. No more hoping that being a good guy will be enough. I'm going to walk you through 5 core things a woman actually wants from a man. And once you understand this, you'll stop overgiving and start standing out. Let's break it all down step by step. Number 1. Effort doesn't equal desire. Men are raised to believe that the more effort you put in, the more you'll be appreciated. That's true in sports, in school, and in business. But when it comes to women, that logic can actually work against you. Women don't automatically desire a man just because he tries hard. In fact, too much effort, especially early on, can make you look desperate, emotionally needy, and low value. And that's not attractive. The uncomfortable truth is, just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean she feels anything for you. Desire is emotional. It's not logical. She doesn't think, wow, he texts me every morning and bought me dinner twice. I guess I should like him now. That's not how it works. She wants to feel a pull toward you that she can't explain. And that pull doesn't come from effort. It comes from presence, confidence, and unpredictability. Here's how it plays out. A guy meets a woman and starts doing everything for her. He offers rides, buys gifts, showers her with compliments, and responds to every message within seconds. He thinks he's showing her how serious and committed he is. But from her perspective, it feels off. Too much. Too soon. She starts to wonder, why is he trying so hard? What does he want from me? Why doesn't he have anything else going on? Now contrast that with a man who doesn't overextend. He shows interest, but he's not throwing himself at her. He has his own life, his own rhythm. He engages her without trying to impress her. That man makes her curious. She feels something, and that feeling turns into attraction. The lesson is simple. Effort without impact is wasted motion. You're not being judged by how much you do, but by how you make her feel. That's what desire is built on. Work smarter, not harder. Because if effort alone worked, every nice guy would be married by now. Number 2. She craves emotional power, not presence. Here's something most men never figure out. Women don't fall in love with the man who gives them the most. They fall for the man who makes them feel the most. It's not about what you hand her. It's about how you affect her emotionally. A lot of men think they can buy loyalty or love through gifts, favors, or constant attention. They assume that if they keep giving, she'll see their value and choose them. But the truth is, women want emotional leverage in a relationship. They want to feel like they have your attention, your focus, your energy, without you being fully in control of it. It's a power dynamic, and most men hand over the power without even realizing it. You could spend money on her, plan every detail of her birthday, and treat her like a queen, and she still might feel emotionally disconnected. Why? Because it's not about the thing you're giving. It's about the feeling she gets when she's around you. And if she feels like she has all the control, all the certainty, all the emotional leverage, she loses interest fast. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be stimulated. She wants the emotional ride, not the perfect routine. Predictability is not romantic. Emotional engagement is. She wants to feel tension, curiosity, anticipation. She wants the kind of connection that keeps her guessing a little, not a man who's trying to win her approval every second of the day. This is where most men mess up. They confuse providing for a woman with pleasing her emotionally. Those are two different games. You can be generous without being weak. You can be loving without being predictable, and you can make her feel secure without giving her full control. When a woman gets used to you giving everything and expecting nothing, she gets bored. She starts seeing you as someone she can manage, not someone she craves. And once you lose that emotional edge, the attraction fades quietly. Understand this. Women want to feel emotionally alive. They want to be moved by you, not just treated well. It's the man who can stir something inside her that keeps her coming back. Stop trying to buy what can only be earned through presence, unpredictability, and emotional depth. Number 3. Nice guys are her safety net, not her choice. You've heard it before. Be kind. Be respectful. Be there for her. Sounds like good advice, right? On paper it makes sense. But in the real world, the so-called nice guy doesn't get chosen, he gets used. Let's be honest, a nice guy is the emotional spare tire, the guy she calls when things fall apart. He listens, supports, gives, without question, and waits. Waits for her to finally notice him. But deep down, even he knows he's not her first choice. He's just the safe one. And women do appreciate nice guys. They'll say he's so sweet or he's always there for me. But notice how they say that while texting someone else they're actually attracted to. That's the problem. Safety and attraction don't always live in the same house. You can be the guy who gives her everything and still not be the man who makes her feel something. The man she dreams about, thinks about, desires. That's not the one always nodding along and saying yes. Let me give it to you straight. The more predictable you are, the more invisible you become. The nice guy never pulls back, never challenges her, never says no. He bends over backward to make her comfortable, and in doing so he becomes forgettable. Now here's the kicker, it's not that women hate nice guys. It's that niceness without edge lacks gravity. Think about it. When was the last time someone was magnetically drawn to a doormat? What she feels for the nice guy is control. And control is the death of mystery, tension, and emotional fire. If she can predict your every move, if she knows you'll be there, no matter what, she doesn't feel compelled to choose you. She knows you'll wait. You're not a challenge. You're a guarantee. And nobody gets excited about what's guaranteed. Women are emotional creatures. They crave contrast. They want a man who is grounded but not passive, kind but not spineless, available but not desperate. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been the guy she vented to about her actual boyfriend? You sit there listening to her complain, biting your tongue, thinking, if only she saw how I treat her. But that's the trap. That's how you end up as the emotional support animal, not the man she desires. Being a good guy isn't bad, but being a nice guy who avoids tension at all costs, that's emotional self-erasure. That's suppressing your own needs and standards in the hope of being rewarded with love. But attraction doesn't work like that. She's not keeping score of your kindness. She's feeling the energy you bring, and if that energy is meek, hesitant, approval-seeking, you're out. Nice is the default setting. It's expected. It's the bare minimum. What sets you apart is strength, direction, the ability to say, "This doesn't work for me," and walk away if needed. That's what creates polarity. That's what creates respect. And respect is the foundation of desire. Stoicism teaches us that a man's peace cannot be dependent on others. That includes women. If you're constantly waiting on her recognition to feel whole, you've already given up your power. Marcus Aurelius didn't beg for validation. He built himself from the inside out, quietly, relentlessly. Here's a simple shift. Stop orbiting her life like a satellite. Start living like a star in your own universe. If she fits, she fits. If not, you don't shrink, you expand. That shift in energy is powerful. It turns you from a fallback into a focus, from tolerated to unforgettable. So if you've been stuck in the nice guy trap, let this be the moment you get out. Not by becoming cold, not by pretending, but by standing tall in your value, and no longer trading your time, attention, and energy for the faint hope of being picked. Comment below, "I've seen this," if you've ever been the one she called until someone better came along. And remember, when you stop trying to be chosen, you start becoming impossible to ignore. Number 4. Validation makes you weak in her eyes. Let's get this out of the way. Everyone likes to be appreciated. Compliments feel good. Being told you're amazing or you mean a lot to me hits the ego in all the right places. But when your sense of worth depends on hearing those things, especially from her, you're not receiving validation. You're begging for it. And women can sense that a mile away. Here's what you need to understand. Validation-seeking behavior is not just unattractive, it's repellent. It signals to her that your self-worth is shaky, that you need her to tell you you're a man before you feel like one. And the moment she sees that, something shifts. She no longer looks up to you. She looks down. She might not even realize it consciously, but the polarity changes. Because the man who's constantly chasing approval, who needs constant reassurance, doesn't lead. He follows. And following, energy kills attraction. Let me give it to you straight. When you fish for compliments, over-explain yourself. Ask, are you mad every time she goes quiet, or get visibly anxious when she's not validating your presence? You're bleeding masculine energy. And deep down you know it. You know what it feels like to shrink in a moment when you should have held your frame. To apologize for having standards just so she wouldn't get uncomfortable. To tailor your words so she doesn't pull away. That's not strength. That's performance. And every time you do it, you train her not to respect you. Now, don't twist this. I'm not saying you should be cold or robotic, but your center, your core identity, can't be up for auction every time she's in a mood. You can't outsource your self-worth to her attention. When you do that, you teach her one thing: your value is negotiable. And no woman wants to be in charge of your confidence. It's not sexy. It's exhausting. She wants a man who's rooted, who can take silence, distance, or even conflict and not flinch, not crumble, not chase. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because they understood that the opinions of others, especially momentary approval, are not a stable foundation. You cannot build a grounded life on the shifting winds of someone else's mood. A man who practices Stoicism doesn't avoid emotion. He just doesn't hand over his emotional keys to anyone else. So how do you break the need for validation? You start by noticing it. The little moments. That micro hit of anxiety when she leaves you on read. That subtle urge to explain yourself when you feel misunderstood. That emotional dip when she's less responsive. Catch it, name it, and then don't act on it. Instead, act from principle, from direction. Ask yourself, what would the man I want to become do in this moment? Not the scared boy, not the eager pleaser. The man. That's where your power lives. And when you start living from that place, she feels it. Your energy shifts from needy to magnetic, from reactive to composed, from waiting to be chosen to already being enough. Comment below, I felt that. If you've ever caught yourself chasing validation and felt smaller because of it. And if this hit you hard, it should. Because this is where most good men get stuck. They're not weak. They're just wired to find identity in approval. But that wiring can be broken, rebuilt, replaced with clarity, calm, and self-leadership. And if that's what you want to build, subscribe now. This channel isn't for passive listeners. It's for men who are done explaining themselves, done begging to be seen and ready to own their presence. And if you're serious about leveling up, join the Brotherhood. Become a member and get access to deeper training, behind-the-scenes conversations, tools, and strategy we don't post publicly. No fluff, no gimmicks, just men becoming unshakable. So hit that subscribe button and step inside, because validation won't make you strong, but building yourself from the inside out, that will make you unforgettable. Number 5. Mystery beats consistency every time. Let's be real. If you've ever thought, I just need to show her I'm dependable, or if I keep being consistent, eventually she'll see my value, you're already losing the game. You don't even realize you're playing. Because when it comes to attraction, especially female attraction, mystery always beats consistency every single time. Now, I know that might sound wrong. We've all been fed the idea that being reliable, available, and steady is what makes a woman feel secure. And sure, consistency has its place. But here's what most guys miss. Consistency without polarity becomes monotony. You show up every day. You text good morning. You check in. You plan the dates. You compliment her constantly. You're consistent, predictable, safe. But slowly, without her even noticing, it starts to feel flat. Why? Because when a woman can predict everything you're going to say, do, or feel, she stops feeling anything. You don't excite her nervous system. You don't spark curiosity. You don't create emotional gravity. She knows what's coming before it even happens, and that kills desire. Let's break it down. Desire needs space. It needs contrast. It feeds off uncertainty, not insecurity, but the healthy kind of, I don't fully have him yet. The kind that makes her lean in, think about you, replay your words, wonder what you're thinking. Nice, consistent guys don't leave that gap. They fill it. They over-explain, over-text, over-commit, and leave nothing to the imagination. Meanwhile, the guy who texts back when he's ready, who doesn't overshare, who shows up unpredictably, but with intention, that guy leaves a trail of emotional tension. And that tension, that's the birthplace of attraction. Now let's be clear, mystery doesn't mean manipulation. It doesn't mean playing games or acting distant just to trigger a reaction. It's about maintaining a life, a rhythm, an identity that isn't entirely orbiting her. It's about being unavailable sometimes, not because you're trying to punish her, but because you're busy building something. It's about leaving some parts of you unspoken, not fake, just not on display 24/7. Here's a truth most men never hear: when you leave a woman with something to figure out, she becomes emotionally invested. Her thoughts return to you. She creates the storyline, the tension, and you didn't have to do anything except not overexpose yourself. Think about it. What keeps you hooked on a good movie? It's not knowing every detail. It's the suspense, the slow reveal, the unanswered question, the not quite knowing. Women operate on the same frequency, emotionally. But the nice guy, he shows the whole film in the trailer. No suspense, no edge. Just here I am, ready to be yours. And while that sounds noble, it kills polarity. Mystery keeps her curious. Consistency, when overdone, makes her comfortable. And comfort without attraction is a slow death. Stoicism hits this point perfectly. The Stoic man isn't performative. He's not showing off. He speaks less, observes more, acts deliberately. And most importantly, he doesn't explain himself unless it's necessary. Marcus Aurelius didn't write, "Make sure they understand you." He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." So don't explain the mystery. Don't ruin the edge by seeking approval. Don't trade your gravity for constant visibility. The strongest men know when to be seen and when to step back into the shadows. Comment below, "I've felt that." If you've ever seen the energy shift the moment you stopped being so available. And here's the thing, it's not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget. When she doesn't know exactly where she stands with you, but she senses depth, confidence, and calm leadership, her mind starts to spiral, in a good way. She thinks about what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you'll say next. And that tension pulls her in. Mystery isn't about hiding, it's about holding. Holding space, holding power, holding back just enough to stay sharp in her mind. So sure, be consistent in your values, your mission, your direction. But don't confuse emotional exposure with intimacy. Don't confuse availability with magnetism. Mystery is your edge. Use it, and watch what happens next. Number 6. She wants to feel challenged, not worshipped. Let's get something straight. She doesn't want a fan. She wants a force. And if you think putting her on a pedestal, praising everything she does, and treating her like a flawless goddess will make her stay, you're in for a rude awakening. Because while that kind of worship might feel romantic to you, to her it feels hollow. Women don't crave perfection. They crave polarity. And polarity doesn't come from worship. It comes from challenge. Now, challenge doesn't mean arguing, nagging, or picking fights. That's immaturity. Real challenge is energetic. It's the vibe of, "I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to meet you where you're strong and push you where you're soft." It's the ability to disagree with her without fearing she'll walk away. It's holding your frame when she tests your boundaries. It's calling her out not to hurt her ego, but to awaken her standards. Because whether she says it or not, she wants to feel something. And emotional tension, the right kind, is what keeps that spark alive. Let me ask you something. Have you ever gone out of your way to do everything for her? Always say the right thing. Suppress what you really think. To keep the peace, only to watch her slowly lose interest. That's not bad luck. That's the worship trap. When a woman senses that you're molding yourself around her, never pushing back, never leading the way, she may enjoy the attention at first. But eventually the energy shifts. You become predictable. You become soft. You become easy to dominate. And no woman respects a man she can dominate. Attraction fades the moment she feels more masculine than you. And worship does exactly that. It flips the polarity. You stop being the grounded leader. You become the emotional follower. And even if she stays, she's already pulled away internally. Now, here's where challenge changes everything. When you challenge her mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you activate something deeper than surface-level attraction. You activate her growth instinct, her respect, her desire to rise to meet you. But again, challenge doesn't mean control. It's not about power trips. It's about standing strong in your own principles and inviting her to do the same. It's telling her, "I hear you, but I don't agree," and not backing down when she throws attitude. It's saying no when she expects yes, not to punish her, but to show her that your attention is earned, not handed out like a trophy. It's holding space when she's emotional without trying to fix or please, but just being still, like a mountain, unshakable. That kind of presence, that's what makes her lean in. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to feel like she's with someone who sees her clearly, flaws, edges, brilliance, all of it, and doesn't get lost in her beauty. Because when you see her without being blinded by her, she respects you. And when she respects you, everything changes. She listens differently, shows up differently, loves differently. And that's where Stoicism gives you an edge most men miss. Stoic men don't chase chaos. They don't idolize anyone, not even the woman they love. They walk into relationships with clear values, emotional control, a grounded sense of self. And in doing so, they naturally challenge the world around them, including her. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, "Flatter those who matter." He said, "Waste no time worrying what others think of you." So stop asking how to make her like you. Ask instead, am I living in a way that commands respect, even if no one claps for it? Comment below, I've felt that. If you've ever lost someone by playing it too safe, too nice, too pleasing, because you weren't meant to be a worshipper. You were meant to be a mirror, reflecting strength back at her. Calmly, firmly, without apology. And here's the beautiful twist. When you challenge her, she feels more alive. She respects you more. She shows up more fully. And that connection, it doesn't burn out. It evolves. So stop playing small in hope she'll stay. Challenge her to rise. And if she can't, let her go. Because the man you're becoming doesn't worship women, he inspires them. Number 7. Being needed is not the same as being wanted. There's a dangerous illusion a lot of men fall for, and it's this idea that if she needs you, she'll stay. That being the one who solves her problems, lifts her up when she's down, helps her through life's mess, somehow earns you a place in her heart. It feels noble, masculine even. But here's the raw truth. Being needed is not the same as being wanted. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. Because need creates dependency. And dependency is about survival, not desire. A woman might cling to you out of comfort, out of fear, out of convenience. But clinging isn't choosing. Clinging is survival. And trust me, that's not the energy you want to build attraction on. When someone needs you, it means you serve a purpose. When someone wants you, it means you are the purpose. And if you're honest with yourself, you've probably been on the receiving end of this. Maybe you were there when she had no one else. Maybe she cried on your shoulder, vented about her life, leaned on you financially or emotionally. And in that chaos, you felt important. You felt chosen, needed. But as soon as she stabilized, when her life started coming back together, her energy changed. Suddenly she pulled back. You became less interesting. She didn't need you anymore. And that's when you realized she never truly wanted you. That's when it stings, because you thought your presence meant something deeper. You thought showing up earned you a seat at the table, but all it did was make you useful. Useful doesn't mean magnetic. It doesn't mean valued for who you are. It means you were convenient, replaceable. Let that sink in. Stoicism teaches us to seek clarity, not comfort. And clarity means facing the fact that being someone's emotional crutch is not the same as being someone's emotional pull. So, how do you tell the difference? Here's the shift. When someone wants you, they engage with you when they don't have to. There's no crisis, no emotional breakdown. They reach for you out of desire, not desperation. They want your presence even when they're okay. They value your thoughts even when they're not broken. They come closer, even when they have space. And you know what kind of man attracts that? The one who isn't trying to be needed. The man who isn't bending himself into usefulness, but instead standing rooted in his identity. He's not waiting to fix someone to feel valuable. He's not chasing brokenness to feel strong. He simply exists with strength, and that energy pulls people in. Let me say it again. Being needed is about her lack. Being wanted is about your presence. When your worth is tied to how much someone needs you, you'll constantly seek out people who are unstable, chaotic, or emotionally fragile, because that's where you feel most important. But that's not power. That's a trap. Your value should never be defined by someone else's dysfunction. You want to be desired. Stop offering yourself as a solution. Start showing up as a standard, a man with boundaries. A man who walks away when the dynamic turns one-sided. A man who doesn't confuse pity with partnership. Because here's the hard truth. When you build a connection on being needed, you're building a time bomb. Eventually, she'll outgrow the phase where she needed you. And if the relationship was never rooted in real mutual desire, it will wither the moment she gets back on her feet. Comment below, I've seen this. If you've ever been dropped, the second she didn't need your support anymore. It's a painful lesson, but it's one that wakes you up, because once you see the pattern, you stop falling for the damsel in distress. You stop trying to prove your worth by being the fixer, and you start showing up like a man who offers value, not because someone lacks something, but because you're already full. That's the difference. And when a woman meets a man who doesn't need to be needed, but is still deeply present, deeply masculine, deeply whole, that's when real attraction begins. So no, don't try to be her rock because she's sinking. Be the mountain that stands either way. Wanted, not used, never again mistaken for a tool. Number 8. The less you react, the more she feels. Here's something nobody told you growing up. The man who doesn't react is the one she can't stop thinking about. Sounds simple, but let's unpack it. In relationships, most guys are taught to be emotionally available, to respond quickly, validate often, and never let her feel uncertain for too long. The idea is, if you're always present and emotionally open, she'll feel secure and loved. But in reality, that kind of hyper-responsiveness often backfires. Why? Because emotions, especially female emotions, don't thrive in full stability, they thrive in polarity. And one of the most powerful elements of polarity is restraint. Now, don't get this twisted. Restraint isn't coldness, it's not shutting down or ghosting. It's calm. It's the ability to observe instead of react, to absorb pressure without losing center, to stay still when she's testing your frame. And believe me, she will test it. Because on some level, every woman wants to know, can I move him? Can I shake his center? Can I pull an emotional reaction out of this man? If the answer is yes, if every mood swing, every delay in text, every flirt with withdrawal gets a rise out of you, she stops seeing you as a rock and starts seeing you as another wave in her emotional ocean. But if the answer is no, if you remain composed, thoughtful, measured, suddenly the energy shifts. She's the one leaning in. Because that calm, that non-reaction, that's masculine tension. It's emotional gravity. And it makes her feel more than any emoji-filled text or 3-paragraph voice note ever could. It's the space where curiosity lives, where she wonders what you're thinking, where your silence says more than words. And that tension, that's the spark. That's what makes her feel. Now here's the part most guys don't understand. Reacting quickly often comes from insecurity, not care. You're afraid of losing her attention. You're afraid of silence. You're afraid of not fixing the mood right away. But that fear energy leaks. And once she smells that she knows, she's the emotional leader. And let me tell you, if she becomes the leader in the emotional space, she may stay with you physically, but emotionally, she's already started detaching. Women want to feel led, not managed. And leadership isn't control. It's direction, calm, intention, silence when needed. If she's upset and you rush in with frantic apologies, she doesn't feel safe. She feels like she's with a boy trying not to get in trouble. But if you look her in the eyes grounded and say, I hear you, take your time. You've just brought masculine energy into the room. You didn't run, you didn't chase, you didn't react, you responded. That's power. The less you react, the more she feels. Not because you're playing games, but because your non-reaction creates space. And in that space she processes, she reflects, she questions, she wonders. And in that wondering she feels drawn to you. Think about it. When's the last time you felt pulled towards someone who was calm under pressure, who didn't flinch, who didn't get emotionally tossed around? It's magnetic. The Stoics call this ataraxia, inner tranquility. The ability to remain unshaken, even in the middle of emotional storms. It's not about being numb. It's about being unfazed by the things that don't deserve your energy. That includes petty arguments, passive-aggressive texts, emotional baiting, tests that try to trigger you into proving your value. You don't prove value with reactions. You prove it with presence, with discipline, with stillness. Comment below, I've felt that. If you've ever lost control just trying to keep her close and felt emptier after. Look, if she knows exactly how to push your buttons, you've handed her the remote. But when you take it back, not by being cold but by staying solid, you stop being easy to provoke and start becoming impossible to forget. Because when she can't move you like every other guy, she starts to respect you. And when that respect sets in, desire follows. So breathe, pause, let silence work for you. She doesn't need your instant reaction. She needs your unshakable presence. Number 9. If she doesn't earn you, she won't value you. Let's stop lying to ourselves for a second. You've been told that to win a woman over you need to show her how much you care. Be available. Be generous. Be consistent. Basically, just be there. And while those things aren't wrong, they're not what makes her stay. Here's the brutal truth. If she doesn't have to earn you, she won't value you. That might sting, but deep down you've seen it play out. You gave her your time, your energy, your heart, maybe even your money. You put her first before yourself, before your goals, sometimes before your own self-respect. And at first she seemed grateful, responsive, maybe even affectionate. But then the shift happened. Slowly she got colder, more distant, less impressed, less invested. And you were left wondering, what did I do wrong? The answer you gave before she earned. And people, men or women, don't treasure what comes too easily. When you give away your presence, your attention, your commitment without